Well, I'm about to tell you, she just became an unbearable bitch by the end. No.
Shh. Supposed to tell.
James and Jo, this is brilliant. It's so nice to speak to you, even though it is virtually. I wish you guys were in the UK right now. How have you adapted to this ridiculous year?
Oh, it's been a journey, hasn't it? We've all been living through something, you know. It's none of us will ever forget it. 2020, and you know, like Jo and I were just talking actually. Like we started shooting the film at the end of 2019, and the film got shut down in March. And then there had to be kind of 3 extra days shots. I think it was July, right, Jo?
Yeah. We shut down production with 3 days to go. And it was Ariana and myself who had scenes to finish up. And we were actually one of the first productions to start shooting again in Los Angeles in July. And we had very strict safety protocols. And I'm so glad that we were able to finish filming, because now we can bring this film to the world this holiday season.
You got the steps. You got the notes. But where's the zazz, baby?
What is going on?
So I watched this on Friday with my girlfriend, and we absolutely loved it. And I came away thinking, why don't we get a prom in the UK? Like, Jo, can you tell us why we should have one? And James, can you explain why we don't have one in the UK? You know, what's wrong with us?
Come on, Jo, you go first.
Oh, I mean, I don't want to tell anyone what to do, but I really enjoyed my prom because it was just a chance to celebrate with your friends and to wear whatever you want to wear. I remember I loved the dress that I wore, and it's just a nice way to remember your high school years. And so if y'all in the UK want to start having proms, I think that might be fun.
Oh, I think it would be a disaster. Like, you think you're like, I'm incredibly grateful that we didn't have a prom when I was at Holmer Green Upper School in High Wycombe, because from what I can work out, a lot of the prom or a lot of the excitement around the prom is who you're going to go with, who are you going to ask to prom with you. I mean, that would have just been a massive rejection for me. Like when we'd have like a disco. I mean, you must have had them, right, Jamie? You must have had like discos at school. That just involved like drinking illegally in a pub or smuggling sort of cans of cider into a school hall, and then one of your mates passes out halfway through. Like, I'm very happy that I didn't have that experience at high school.
What I'm hearing is the world isn't ready for a British prom, and I agree with you.
I think so.
Who are you people?
Oh my God, that's...
Surely you know who I am.
You're always going to be learning something when you're sharing a set with people like Nicole Kidman and Meryl Streep. Indirectly or directly, is there anything that you guys learned I know you've worked with them before, James, but is there anything you guys learned from those figures in the film? Either they tell you something or just from observing them?
I mean, for me, I think like Meryl Streep, of course, like there's nothing I can say about her as an actor and a performer that hasn't been said, and all of that is true. I actually think the biggest thing you learn from her, which I remember thinking on Into the Woods, was she just sets the tone for how everybody behaves on the set, and she is a true example of what all of us should be, really, regardless of whether you're an actor or not, in that she takes the work really, really seriously, and then never takes herself seriously for a second. And that makes for great fun, you know. Normally, I imagine on films of this size and scale, you know, big movie stars kind of, when they've got a break, go back to their trailers, and, you know, they have their teams of people around them and things. And Meryl just sets the tone for like, well, where are our chairs? And you stay on the set, and everybody stays on the set. And that really leans into the notion that you're really forming a company of people, and those are the things that I'll take away from working with her and Nicole, because they set the tone for how everybody else behaves.
Jo, we can throw James into this now. Feel free to shamelessly embarrass him and say how much of a brilliant teacher he was. What did you learn from these figures on set?
You learned nothing.
Oh my gosh, no, every single person. I think what I learned, especially with James, is that you give your scene partners, you give the people in the room 100%, 110% every single time. You give them the exact kind of focus that they're going to give you, and you are there to support them and to lift them up. And like, that's really all we do as actors, is just listen and support each other. And James is such a great example of that. And I remember like our first scene together, it was at that cafe. Yeah. And I was so nervous because here I was, like with all of these icons, and you just made me feel so safe and so supportive. And we just had a ball getting to know each other. And it's one of those days that I'm always going to remember, sitting in that cafe with you and then getting to act with James freaking Corden.
Well, I remember that scene so vividly when we rehearsed it. And this is absolutely true, Jamie. Like, I promise you, there was a bit in the scene where we held hands on a table, and it was really, really lovely scene. But we were just rehearsing it at this point, just working out where the camera might be and stuff. And this was like JoEllen's, I think, second or third day on the film, certainly the first scene that we had together. And I said to JoEllen, and I absolutely meant it, and I'm certain of it now after watching the film. I said to her, I just know I'm going to spend the rest of my life telling people that I was in JoEllenPellman's first ever movie. And they'll go, no. And I'll go, yeah. And they'll go, what was she like? And I'll go, she was amazing. And they'll go, have you spoken to her recently? And I'll say, no, she's changed her number and she doesn't really call me anymore. But yeah, I had that experience. Like, I genuinely believe that that's true. Like, I think her performance, you can't believe that you're watching someone in their first time on a set. It's extraordinary.
And I will say one last thing, that James actually literally did say that to me on the day in that cafe. So thank you, James, for supporting me and believing in me.
Guys, I could sit here and listen to you throw compliments back and forth all day my time.
Well, I'm about to tell you, she just became an unbearable bitch by the end. No.
Shh. I'm supposed to tell.
Guys, thank you so much.
Jamie.
The movie.
Thank you so much, mate.
Also, have a great day.
You.
That's so kind. Cheers, man.